Yes. And we are ready to roll. Okay. Let's go. All right. There she is. She's standing by. Folks, what a big week it has been. Just a reminder, everyone, we will be active, obviously, this weekend. As many of you know, the rest of the media check out. And what do they say? Have a good weekend. See, no, we are in action tonight, and we will be active all weekend long. So, because the news does not stop. Now, right now, good afternoon to everybody on YouTube. Good afternoon. We are live on YouTube. Yes. Good afternoon. That's right. Good afternoon to everybody on X. It's quite a day yesterday. Yes, it was. And we're going to get into it right out of the box. But again, just a reminder. Okay, there we go. There we are on X. Oh, that was nice. Court TV shared our video from that FBI raid yesterday. Thank you. Or should I say you're welcome? All right, we're live in 3 minutes, folks. 3 minutes. And yes, people keep asking me, are you going to be active? Yes, we'll be active. Do I think there'll be a raid on a weekend? No, I do not. I don't think so. It's all happening. It's all slowly. You don't need a lot. I can tell you that. First of all, Boston is absolutely buzzing because of what happened. So I believe, as I've stated in the past, I think a big part of this is just the deterrent nature that it has. And there are several people, I won't reveal who have reached out to me saying, do I know a good immigration attorney? Because they're even concerned. So I'm going to mention an attorney in just a moment that you could contact. I don't know how much they want to deal with immigration. I'll leave that up to them. But it certainly got a lot of attention in just whether it would happen yesterday in Rhode Island or what you saw, obviously, in Boston. So that really has. According to the Boston Globe, the headline, everyone here is panicked. Hysteria engulfs Massachusetts. I guess East Boston, which I've been to, 85% of the neighborhood is composed of undocumented migrants. So clearly they are concerned, but we're going to talk about it. Folks, we are live in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. If you miss some of the video, due to the sensitivity nature of the raid, I agreed to not go live. I don't think we're ever going to do that again. But we're in new territory. Going forward, I think I'm better off being the ability to go live. But nevertheless, we're going to be live. If you would like to check out the website, depetro.com, we do have some of the video. And someone even sent me a message saying, wow, it almost looks like you're in the elevator with them. No, I was in the elevator with them as they were loading everything into the car. There's a very good reason why it looked like I was in the elevator. I was in the elevator. God, it looks like you're standing right next to the FBI. No, I was standing next to the FBI agent. Yes, as a matter of fact. It's not an illusion. It's not AI. All right, we're live in just one moment, folks. Again, you can listen on the website. And there it is, folks, at 106. 106 on this Friday. What a week it has been. My goodness, this is the real news. Now, right now, just to count down, you can listen. There are people that are listening right now, AM 1380, 99.9 FM. There are some people listening at the website, depetro.com. Good afternoon to everyone who's watching on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Good afternoon to everyone who's watching on X, formerly Twitter. And then, of course, we have our loyal Facebook crowd where you can share that you are watching this portion. What a week when you just step back just for a moment on this Friday, January 24th. I mean, what a week where we start off Monday with a presidential inauguration, and then everything that has happened. I can tell you the media is almost exhausted from it, but everything that has happened since then, each day, and Tuesday, Wednesday, obviously, Wednesday was a big day in Boston with ICE, and then Rhode Island had that raid. Folks, this portion of our program brought to you by Marin, Barrett, and Murphy. What a team. Criminal defense attorneys, 50 years combined, Rhode Island criminal defense experience. Your fight becomes their fight, and they will put the full weight of the firm behind every case. You can call them Marin, Barrett, and Murphy Law Firm, 401 228 8271. Also, look for them on Instagram and Facebook. And joining us right now from Marin, Barrett, and Murphy is, in fact, Stephanie Murphy. Good afternoon, Stephanie.
Hi, John. How are you?
Very good. Stephanie, why don't we start off the big raid yesterday? Extraordinary, very unusual, but there's a lot we don't know, but there is some things we do know. But just from a legal perspective, just walk us through the raid that took place yesterday in downtown Providence.
Well, I think you and your listeners and everyone had a firsthand view of everything that happened. But like you said, so much is unknown at this time. What I think in terms of what's happened is some sort of a warrant, search warrant, investigation going on at this point. That's probably been going on for some time. And this was the execution of different search warrants and different parts of the federal government's investigation. So I really don't know anything more than anyone else, but it was interesting to watch it all unfold yesterday, and also interesting to watch and listen to everyone's opinions.
Attorney Melina Flynn, he then resigned from Central Falls. But Stephanie, could you just touch on the rather unusual nature that this was a court sanctioned search that was executed. So what people need to understand, I believe, that this was not run of the mill in what would be required in order to get a judge to sign off on this that would enable the agents we saw yesterday to go and execute this search warrant.
Right. So in order for the agents to execute the search warrant, they had to do a lot of work and investigation beforehand in terms of gathering information, gathering statements, whether it's financial statements, court documents, statements from witnesses. So that all goes into an affidavit that would have been presented to a federal court judge or a state court judge. And the judge would have to sign off that, that everything is met and that all the requirements are met. And at that point, the warrant would be signed and go into effect. And then the agents were able to execute on that warrant.
Now, as I filmed, final question, they were removing boxes of evidence. What should someone do if, maybe they are a client of the firm? Maybe there's someone listening or watching who's concerned that maybe that's some of their information that, was removed with all these boxes of evidence. What would you recommend someone do if they have questions or concern because potentially, that they've done business with the firm?
Well, you can definitely reach out to the firm, although, Attorney Flynn has resigned from different positions and stuff like that. The firm is the gatekeeper of all their clients' information and stuff like that. So reaching out to the firm or reaching out to the government if you're concerned about specific information, the U.S. Attorney's Office, there's a bunch of different avenues where someone who has concerns about privacy or their information can definitely reach out to the attorney, the government, whoever, whatever, type of information they're worried about. There's definitely places for them to turn to.
And folks, again, we're speaking with attorney Stephanie Murphy. Stephanie, staying local, we had a number of the companies involved with this lawsuit that the state is trying to move forward with regarding the bridge. And that big headline of one of the attorneys, and they're asking for it to be tossed out, saying, well, the state knew that this was going on. Take us inside that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that the defendants who are being sued filed a motion to dismiss against the state. So I believe there's about 13 different construction companies that are being named in the suit. And they filed a motion in the court in order to get the lawsuit dismissed against them. But in terms of this occurring in court, it's a very, very, very difficult standard for the defendants to meet. All the evidence that the state has will be taken in light most favorable to the state. And the judge basically has to rule that there's no, merit in the claims in order to grant the motion to dismiss. So my personal opinion, I don't think the motion would get granted just because of the high standard that the defendants have to win on that motion. But it is very interesting kind of the allegations and why the defendants are thinking that this should all get dismissed.
Now, Stephanie, we've all watched, extensive coverage of the fires out on the West Coast. I find this story interesting. There's a high-profile couple, Spencer Pratt. They were on the hills. They were reality TV stars. They also watched. He was doing these TikToks that got millions of views of they lost their home, like those of their neighbors. However, now they're taking action against LA, the city of Los Angeles, saying that because those hydrants ran dry, instead of just seeking whatever their insurance might be on the home. I think it's interesting that they're going after the city, saying that we pay all these taxes and you were not adequately prepared to protect us. And as a result of that, our house burned down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're claiming that the city made a conscious decision to operate the water supply system at a measure that could never, help in a situation like this. What's interesting is that California as a state does have sovereign immunity, but there are several exceptions to that. So they would have to really file a tort action and, get the tort action under one of the exceptions to the sovereign immunity for the state of California.
Now, folks, it's time for Stephanie's selection. This is the case or story in the news that Stephanie Murphy has seen. And Stephanie, what story have you selected for this week?
I think what's really interesting is a whole birthright citizen case that was heard in Seattle in federal court. I think that's a very interesting issue from a legal standpoint and also for like a national interest also. So what happened in this case is that the Seattle federal court blocked President Trump's order about the birthright citizenship. So now what's going to have to happen from there is that Trump's legal team will have to appeal it and go through the court system in order to try to get the birthright citizenship in effect. And if that doesn't happen, the only alternative the Trump administration would have is to get a constitutional amendment. So I think it's a very interesting legal issue as you see, the court in Washington decide one way, and then what's going to happen throughout the appellate period. And then what we could actually see is a constitutional amendment possibly down the road.
I am curious. I have two more questions for you. Let's just say an American couple, the woman is very far along. They go on vacation to Cancun, Mexico. While there, she goes into early labor, delivers a child. Would the family then think, oh my goodness, our son or daughter is now a Mexican citizen? Or would it just be an American couple that happened to give birth? They come back and the child's an American citizen.
Right. I mean, the United States couple would probably, not want to travel to Mexico if that was the case in their belief and stuff like that. But yes, I think it applies to both ways for United States people traveling overseas or out of the country, and then people who are, in the United States when a child is born. But it's really interesting in the 14th Amendment analysis that comes with it, the specific language in the 14th Amendment, and how both sides are taking that language and kind of now analyzing it in many different ways. So I think it's a very, very interesting concept, and I'm interested to see where it goes or where it doesn't go.
Stephanie, one final question. Now, folks, you can call Stephanie at 401-228-8271. Stephanie, I'm just curious, if there's someone listening or watching and they want to reach out to you and your law firm, what should someone walk them through? How should they be prepared for the first meeting that they would then maybe sit down with you or also just members of the firm?
Yeah, well, typically when people call us, it's not for something good, in all honesty. They're going through kind of a traumatic time and need some legal guidance. So, feel free to call us anytime, even if you're emotionally upset, don't know what's going on. Our job is to listen to the story, see how we can help you, and then move on from there. So if it's a criminal charge, we can reach out to the police, we can get the arrest reports, we can, get a loved one, out of jail and stuff like that. If it's a personal injury case, some people are really, really injured and sometimes in the hospital. So you can reach out to us at any time, at any point in the case, and we'll listen to what you have to say and then let you know the appropriate steps that we can help you with or the appropriate steps that you can take on your own. And same things with like mass tort cases, personal injury, divorce cases. Most people call us in a panic and don't know what to do. So really our job is to help them, take the first step. And sometimes the first step is coming in and meeting with us. And sometimes the first step is, collecting themselves and trying to figure out what they want to do. But whatever it is, we're happy to help in any stage.
One final question. Those are the do's. What are the don'ts? What are the don'ts that you would advise
In
someone?
terms of criminal cases is, don't give a statement to the police without talking to an attorney. There's sometimes when giving a statement is the right thing to do, but there's a lot of times when it's not the right thing to do. And my advice to anyone is don't offer up evidence that you don't necessarily need to offer up. There's a lot of protections. You can ask for an attorney. You can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The don't is definitely talk to an attorney before you do anything.
Folks, again, Stephanie Murphy, Marin, Barrett, and Murphy, 401-228-8271. Stephanie, excellent job, and we'll talk to you next week.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, folks, there it is. I think that's very interesting about the element regarding the raid. And I am obviously going to talk about it. And there's several different important factors of this. And you're already seeing it come into play, I should say, with it's not even a full week that the president has been in office. The Boston Globe highlights that parts of Massachusetts, people are shaken. I can tell you last night, if you watched Road Patrol last night, it was quiet. I was hearing from members of law enforcement that they think as a result of the raid, people were pretty shaken last night. And I have had people kind of reach out to me and asking questions about it. So my point is, the reason I mention that is I think there's been so much made over how much it's going to cost. I also how much it's going to cost that it's almost like a non-starter. As you're saying, a lot of people are saying this isn't worth it. I don't want to live in fear. I'd rather not come, whatever it may be. And this is just one day of a raid in Boston, and then obviously the raid in Rhode Island of the law office of an immigration attorney. Folks, this portion of our program is also brought to you by Propane Plus. Call them today, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359. Propane Plus, heating and cooling, residential or commercial. If you utilize propane, you can depend on Propane Plus. You go to their website, propaneplus.com, type in your zip code, residential or commercial, you can depend on Propane Plus. 401-885-4209, or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. Well, folks, good afternoon. As I said, it has been quite the week. I also want to mention, I think that that a lot of the things and the coverage that we're seeing locally, I believe they leave a lot out of the equation. And what I'm talking about, there were the two high-profile brothers that hold office. One's a member of the Providence City Council. The other is a state rep. And I have posted some of the things they're posting on social media. They're putting out definitive statements of how they feel about ICE, and they won't cooperate. What's lacking from that is what I don't hear is when they're speaking to the media, I don't hear anyone trying to, as I would say, kind of push back. I mean, if you saw the video of the Haitian undocumented, whatever you want to use, term, illegal, undocumented, I think he had been arrested 18 times, 14 times, violent, screaming at the camera. There are people wanted in other countries. There are dangerous people in the community. I think that needs to be highlighted. I notice whether it's Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee or Miguel Sanchez, they talk about, oh, this is terrible, the hardworking families. That's not who they were going after. And anyone that bothers to pay attention, Tom Homan and the like, they're talking about removing people. And I'm also going to explain something that I was talking with someone this morning, and And I don't think it gets highlighted enough. But I also, folks, want to stay on track. In this portion of our program, brought to you by Kids Club on the Pike. Call them. Perfect. Birthday parties, before and after school programs, preschool programs. Kids Club on the Pike. It's right on the Cranston Johnston line, right off of 295. So you can get there and go there from anywhere in the state. Kids Club on the Pike. You can call them at 401 443 5336. Kids Club on the Pike. And again, maybe it's just a situation. They provide transportation in before and after care program for school age children 5 to 12. They have preschool programs, half and full day programs, preschool children 3 to 5. Kids Club on the Pike. I've toured there. It's immaculate. You're going to love it, and also perfect for a birthday party for your child or your grandchild. Kids Club on the Pike. I want to just fill in the blanks a little bit, because you did hear Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, and then you hear the others, and they make it seem as though, oh my God, this whole business of they're going to go into schools and they're going to go into churches. That's not what they're talking about. I will tell you, one of the complaints that I hear about from members of law enforcement is when these individuals come in from another country, they're very difficult, if not impossible, to track. And whenever they catch them on something and then let them go, they never show up for their court hearing. What do I mean by that? Just pick anyone. Pick Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee. If they were looking for him, if law enforcement was looking for him, well, he's lived in Cumberland most of his life. I'm not exactly sure where, but they would have been able to find where he had worked, where he had lived, where his family may be. If they were searching for him, they have a track, a trail, if you will, to go after and try to locate. And right now, I'm just making up someone, you know, Anthony Smith, of North Providence, 40 years old. They have a trail of where did he go to high school? Where did he grow up? What house did he grow up in? Where has he been living? Where does his family live? If they were trying to find him, I'm not saying that's always automatic, but at least they have a trail of, they know where he has been. When you have these individuals that come in, number one, they don't even know they're in the country. Number two, they don't know their whereabouts moving around. So if they're wanted on something, good luck. It's virtually impossible. I also push back on whether it's Mayor Smiley or Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, this whole business of we're not going to turn our police into immigration officers. So the real answer is they already have done that. And they've actually made it very dangerous for law enforcement. I've spoken with different members of law enforcement, and some of the Woonsocket, West Warwick, but certainly the big three, Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls. I was speaking with a member of law enforcement. I won't say who, but it was in Pawtucket, and they were called for a disturbance. They go inside an apartment, and there's three guys in the apartment, and the three guys don't speak English, and the three guys don't have IDs on them, and the three guys are non-cooperative. Well, it turns out that one of the three, they later learned, was a wanted criminal from Venezuela, and they didn't even know he was in the country. My point is, you're putting police in harm's way, along with everybody else, by the way, but you're certainly putting law enforcement in harm's way. There has to be a better system of tracking who goes in and out of the country. I want to be very clear. I mean, I try to look at this, be realistic, speak with small business owners, other business owners. No one is saying everybody, this whole business, like everybody's going to go. There are businesses that depend on foreign labor. What I believe, what they're trying to move closer to is they have a right, whether people realize it or not, the government has a right to track people that are in their country. We have that right. And so this nonsense of they don't have the right and don't cooperate and don't talk, there's a big difference. If how to find out how that would work out if you went to Mexico. You go to Mexico, you're not a citizen. Guess what? You don't have rights. So I was telling again my friend Rick this morning, if I said if we got on a plane and we flew to Canada and then we flew to London, okay, they have a track of here's two Americans. They took off from TF Green, they landed in Canada, then they got on this flight and they were able to track us, whether we like it or not, through our passports and travel and so forth. But why should that apply to us? But then you have other people that just come in and there's no way to track their whereabouts in the country. So, and I also want to push back a couple things. I believe, now again, I try not to, I'm not telling Channel 12 how to do their thing. I'm not telling Channel 10 how to do their thing and forget about the print media. But all I would say is, I think they could use a little bit when they're interviewing Governor McKee and he says, oh, I haven't been notified that there's going to be any ICE raid. And I think it could use some context. I think the question should be, Governor, you're handing out driving privileges. Massachusetts doesn't even have that, by the way. There's many states that don't have that. You're kind of a magnet for people. Don't you think? In the past they were non-cooperative with ICE. So I think that a little more context is needed. Governor McKee's now trying to say, oh no, we cooperate with ICE. Well, that's not what ICE was saying. And in the past, about a year ago, he was a little more pushback and saying they don't know what they're talking about and blah, blah, blah. All right, so he's changed his tune. My point is, whether the local media wants to recognize it or not, but the state is run as a sanctuary state. And I recognize, and I'm aware, Governor McKee says, oh, I'm not sure. I don't think we are. And then the people, then I already know the script. They say, well, is Providence? And he's like, I'm not sure. Folks, that is ludicrous. We are listed as one. There's certain things that are offered of those states. Maybe not as extreme as certain states, but come on. And as Tom Homan says, a sanctuary for who? A sanctuary for people that are not following the law. As far as schools and churches, what the Trump administration has lifted it, if there was someone who was wanted, a dangerous criminal, that you can't have a policy, pick a country. He's from Colombia. He's wanted on felony murder. He goes and hides in a local church or he hides at a school by design. And then people say, no, you can't search there for him. We use a policy, no church or school. They're not talking about ripping and tearing people out of children from bus stops or people in schools, or it's just that you can't harbor a criminal. You can't operate. And as Tom Homan said, it's a sanctuary. Sanctuary for who? I also, as I have stated in the past, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, this business of, it's not going to go anywhere where he just kind of plays the expression Mickey the dope. But well, I don't know, are we? Well, I don't know if we are. Come on. I mean, what is the real difference between Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut? The fact of the matter is the three states operate all pretty closely. However, Massachusetts doesn't even allow them to have driver's licenses anymore. So I know that for a fact. They come to Rhode Island and they use an address. They get a driving privilege. And the driving privilege card they receive just happens to look exactly like a Rhode Island driver's license. I am telling you that, for Governor McKee to say, I haven't heard if ICE is going to do anything. Well, Governor Healy didn't know either, right? Like, how much are they supposed to say? Governor McKee, he didn't know about the raid yesterday. Why would he know about the raid? Why should he be told about the raid? That is an absolute need-to-know basis. No, he didn't know. And it's fine. They didn't even tell the state police because they wanted the state police to have plausible deniability, for they could say to him, Governor, we didn't know. Now, My also understanding is they contact Providence Police at the very last, as close as possible, to say we could use your assistance with a matter we're going to be implementing, and we need the street blocked off and your assistance and so forth. Then they were there, but you don't have other districts or anything like that. What I am telling you is I don't hear the proper questions being asked. And I also don't understand. You have a group of reporters, and they're sitting there or standing there yesterday around Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, and he had a press briefing about the data breach. And as at the very end, he's talking to them, and someone asked him about the raid yesterday, the FBI raid, who was also the IRS, who was also Homeland Security, who was also the Joint Terrorism Task Force. So they had a lot of agents there yesterday. I would guess during the course of the day I counted 20. So, but my point is when he came out and said, they're part of our community, they pay taxes. What does it say that not one member of the Rhode Island Press Corps that was there, by the way, so it's select reporters, but not one who was present, not one pushed back and said, hold on a minute, time out. That, that's not true. They absolutely don't file federal tax forms. They don't pay and file local tax forms. They're not paying local taxes to the city of Providence or the town of Johnston or wherever they may reside. So they're not paying taxes the way we are. And he knows that. But he'll keep saying it as long as he's able to get away with it. But I think it speaks volumes that no reporter that was there said, no, wait a minute. When you say they pay taxes, I mean, I know what that means. Okay, so they have a car, they go and get gasoline, and Governor McKee and Matto say, well, they just paid the gas tax. That's not the same thing. They go to eat somewhere, there's a tax on whatever they bought, or they go to the liquor store and there's tax. Oh no, they paid the tax. They pay taxes. That's not the same. But here's my point. They know it's not the same. Governor McKee knows it's not the same, but he's going to keep saying it as long as he is allowed to get away with it. Folks, this portion of our program on what an extraordinary week this has been. And the media is still trying to play catch up because there's just been so much news this week. This portion of our program is brought to you by Modern Mechanical. Now listen, we're not out of the cold weather just yet. Modern Mechanical. Okay, so this week it certainly seems we're getting a little bit of a break above 30, which is nice, above freezing, but contact Modern Mechanical at 401-441-5442. They're right on Jefferson Boulevard. They can do boiler repair and maintenance. They can do boiler installation, furnace installation, furnace repair and maintenance. If you're having a problem with your boiler or your furnace, heater installation, heater repair and maintenance, Modern Mechanical. Call them today. With this type of weather, you need your heating system working as efficiently as possible. Modern Mechanical. Folks, call them 401-441-5442. Richard and his crew, they'll handle it all. Modern Mechanical. I share their Facebook page. Folks, again, good afternoon. Yes, we're going to be active later, obviously, with Road Patrol. We're going to be active all weekend long. And I'm just noticing, boy, the headlines just in the Boston Globe are really remarkable. Here's some headlines. Here are some headlines right now. FBI arrests a Washington State woman in the fatal shooting of the Vermont Border Patrol agent. Teresa Youngblood was charged in the killing of the Border Patrol agent. I don't understand that whole thing. And what led to that, I guess, is what I should say. So the Border Patrol agent stopped Youngblood and Felix Bachholt on Interstate 91 in Vermont. on Monday because Balcold appeared to have an expired visa, according to an FBI affidavit. During the stop, Youngblood opened fire. God bless me. And other agents, officers, tried to draw a gun but was shot. One border agent fired on Youngblood and Balcold, but authorities haven't specified whose bullets hit whom. Investigators have been performing periodic surveillance of the pair since January 14th after an employee at a hotel they were staying reported concerns about seeing Youngblood carrying a gun. Both of them wearing all black tactical gear. Investigators attempt to question them, but the pair declined to have an extended conversation. Instead, they were in the area looking to buy property. 2 hours before the shooting, investigators watch Balcold exit a Walmart in Newport with 2 packages of aluminum foil. According to the affidavit, he was seen wrapping an unidentified object while seated in the passenger seat. Authorities later found a ballistic helmet, night vision goggles, respirators, and ammunition in the car, along with a package of shooting range targets, some of which were used. They also found 2-way radios, about a dozen electronic devices, travel and lodging information from multiple states, and an apparent journal. So very, very significant. So why is she now? Teresa Youngblood, 21, from Washington State. Now, I am willing to bet that that is very unusual, obviously, and I just wonder. That sounds almost, especially where they're from, that almost sounds like a member of Antifa, who would then, I mean, that heads up, it is encouraging that they had surveillance on them, and whoever that was at the hotel, that certainly was heads up. You know, that folks, that falls under the see something, say something. She does seem, someone just put, who wants to bet she's a far left psychopath? It sure seems that way. Very, very odd. And especially from Washington State, shot and killed a member of Border Patrol. I mean, what is the deal with that? So we're going to learn more about this individual, but the more you hear about it, I mean, the Border Patrol, they were watching them, and they were certainly had entered their radar screen, so to speak. And the guy that's with her is a German man. Teresa Youngblood, charged in the Monday killing Border Patrol agent David Malin. Youngblood and a German man who died in the firefight that also killed had been under surveillance for several days. So the guy with her was killed. Malin stopped Felix Bachholt, Interstate 91, Vermont. Appeared to have an expired visa. During the stop, she suddenly opened fire on him, and other officers in Balco tried to draw a gun but was shot. So that's the German. One border agent fired. Authorities haven't specified which bullets. So, boy, that seems very, very odd. What is she doing? And shot and killed that member of Border Patrol. Folks, this is what I'm waiting for. Some of the positive tweets for support of that will come out of it. But here's another one. How about landlords who live in Massachusetts plead guilty to wrongfully voting in New Hampshire? How much of that is going on? The answer, a lot of it. Trump says he's considering getting rid of FEMA as he visits North Carolina. They waste a lot of money, I should say. Holyoke mayor and school superintendent vow to protect residents from deportation efforts. Again, I can't stress this enough. How about, I'm looking at, they have some of how many New England could be impacted by mass deportations. So let's see. In They have the percentage of how many illegals and what's the big one. So Rhode Island, I think this is low. They're saying 4% of the population are illegal. And the big dominant one is the Dominicans, 8%. But I think they want to look at Guatemalans as well. Connecticut has a huge Guatemalan population. 9% of them are Guatemalan. Massachusetts, though, it's bigger than you think. And it's Brazil. So 5% of the population of Mass. With California, so you can kind of break out. Delaware has a lot of Guatemalans. Washington, D.C. has a lot from Ethiopia. California, the dominant one is Mexico. Colorado is Mexico. Arizona is Mexico. Connecticut, the dominant percent of illegals are Guatemala. New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Dominican, Massachusetts, Brazil. So that kind of, I think that kind of fits into what we had thought. Let me just say this also. Oh my God. Is that really him? I'm looking at a picture of Dennis O'Leary. It doesn't even look like him. Okay, he's had a little work done. There we go. All right. Now, folks, let's stay on schedule here. This portion of the program, I really want to put them on your radar, and it's Arch Design Builders. They specialize in residential design. You want to talk about a reputable contractor, Arch Design Builders. Call them today. Free consultation, 401 207 4124. 401 207 4124. The free consultation meeting, that's what you want to set up. That's the conversation you want to have. So if you're thinking right now on this Friday, maybe you've been thinking of remodeling your kitchen, or maybe a bathroom, or maybe a basement, or maybe a deck, contact Arch Design Builders. This is a husband and wife team, and they're so talented. You're going to notice the Arch Design difference. That's right. Arch Design and Builders. Family owned and operated. Ed and Roxanne, they're going to deliver exactly what you're looking for on time, exactly the way you would expect it. Arch Design Builders. So maybe right now, on this Friday, maybe you have been. You're going to notice the Arch difference. Family business, integrity, quality, but it all starts with that conversation. It all starts with let's dream. Let's look at what it looks like now, and then let's talk about what it could look like. Arch Design Builders. They specialize in residential design. Call them today. Free consultation, 401 207 4124. Find them online, archdesignbuildersri.com, and you can also find them on Facebook. Well, folks, good afternoon. Right now, it is 1:45, but what a extraordinary week it has been. Again, I believe we're out of the little bit of the cold freeze that we have been in. It is remarkable. It is remarkable that we get excited when the temperature climbs above 32, but that's just where we are. This is one of those. We've had some winters that were somewhat mild. This is not one of them, but nice sunshine. We will be active with Road Patrol Live later. And then, as I look at the temperatures over the course of the weekend, it is going to be still cold, but at least it's dry. And I'm looking ahead. Sunday should go above 40 degrees. We'll get some melting. Next Tuesday, sunny, 40. Next Wednesday, 35. But then at the end of the week, it is cold again. Next Friday is going to be really cold. But then then we get into February 1st, and then the temperature starts to bounce above and then even get into the mid 40s. So Now, folks, again, I at 146, we will be active with Road Patrol Live later. This has been just news-wise a very extraordinary week with everything that has taken place. And without question, I think it's important that the conversation, at least we're having the conversation about who's in the country, who are some of these people, where do some of our elected officials stand. I know Senate Minority Leader Jessica De La Cruz, she caught some press simply because she said, President Trump, please consider Rhode Island when you're making these raids. I think it's very disingenuous that local officials, I believe they're not doing a favor to people if they misrepresent who's involved with the raid, because that's what we're talking about. And I believe if your law enforcement should be allowed to use any means that would enable them to track someone who's wanted by law enforcement. And the fact of the matter is, it's more complicated and it's more difficult when you're dealing with someone who's not only from another country, but who's not even didn't even enter legally. So I want to repeat that what the United States is trying to do is no different than a lot of other countries deal with. And also, folks, something that I don't hear, certainly not locally, but I don't think people recognize that the whole topic of immigration, of migrants, of people coming in, it's going on all over the world. It's going on all over the world. Clearly, it's a problem because you have people that are escaping or leaving these other countries, and where they want to come is the United States. So, keep in mind, President Trump has even said they use a program. They're not trying to get rid of everyone, but at the very least, our local law enforcement, and specifically ICE, has the right to be able to track people that are wanted in other countries and make it safer and legal and safer for everyone involved, both for everyone in the community, so to speak, and certainly for members of law enforcement. Now, I want to remind people there's a lot of sickness going around, and it's going to continue into February with the cold weather. And right now, folks, joining us, as I call her, the Queen of Health, dedicated. Oh, we just had her. All right, there she is, dedicated to keeping you healthy, dedicated to keeping your family healthy. Local business phenomenon. It is our friend Marie at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon. Oh, she'll be back in a second. Mendon Road in Cumberland. And if you're on Mendon Road, pop in that historic white church. Folks, they're waiting for you. Marie, the Queen of Health, at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Maybe some delicious tea. She has unique teas, but it's natural benefits. There's a lot of natural ingredients that you could take that's going to improve your health. And folks, joining us right now is the Queen of Health. Good afternoon, Marie. Good afternoon, Marie. All right, we can see her. We can hear her. And we'll give it good afternoon, Marie. We can hear you. We can hear the rustling around a little bit, Queen of Health. So, folks, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Good afternoon, Marie. We can see her. We can hear her. I'm not exactly sure.
I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Yes, we can. Go right ahead, Marie. Go right ahead. Yes, we can hear you. I'll write it out. 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. It's Marie at It's My Health. And let me just write out so the Queen of Health knows us. Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you. Go right ahead. We can hear you. Boy, this is as live
That's
as
good.
live.
I'm glad
Good.
you can hear me. I can't hear you.
That's all right. Go right ahead.
Okay, I will. So happy Friday. I just wanted to talk for a minute about we're still in cold and flu season. It's been pretty brutal. So many people coming in sick or family members sick, children sick. So lots of things, colds, flu, whatever we want to call all these things, stomach flus. So we do have things, and we like to help people from simple things like cough drops. We have menthol type cough drops. We have elderberry zinc cough drops. We've got Manuka honey cough drops. We have honey drops, lots of things for the throat. And then we have things for colds. The hybrid CR is great, especially if you catch it early, like right at the first sign. Oscillococcinum, the thing that's hard to pronounce, is great for any kind of a flu. And even if you just feel off, but you can't say what's going on, but you don't feel like yourself, you take a tube of this and it will make a difference. And it will shorten the duration of a flu, make it less severe. So it's a great thing to have around. We've been selling like crazy. I just went and ordered some more because we're tearing through it. Lots of people with sinus problems right now, either, the end result of a cold or just the sinus pressure. This really does help to relieve throat. Some people coming in, they can't talk. They've got no voice at all. Kind of like here, I can't hear you. So throat calm works really well. And then we have a number of cough syrups. This is just one of many that we have. The Rocky Mountain throat syrup is really good. And then we have Boyron makes a really nice honey homeopathic one that's very soothing to the throat. So lots of choices when it comes to dealing with this crazy time of year with all of the viruses around. You can get through it. But you can get through it with fewer problems with things that we have.
Folks, excellent job. Excellent job, Marie. Folks, stop in and see her, Marie, at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland, the Queen of Health. Look at that. But and you never know. I don't know exactly what happened tech-wise, but she rolled with it. We could hear her perfectly. It was crystal clear. Folks, this is one of the things sometimes when we're dealing with some of the texts and the apps, but it worked out perfect. But stop in and see the Queen of Health. Maybe even go in and talk sign language. It's My Health because it's about your health. 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Well, right now it's 1:55. Again, just a reminder. Yes, we will be active later, without question. To me, this is actually an improvement with the weather, the way it's been compared to what it could be. So, but yes, we're going to be very active later. Now, I also want to remind you about Watson Materials. South County Trail, Watson Materials, the largest selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island, is Watson Materials. Call them and request a quote at 401-885-0600. 401-885-0600. Watson Materials. I also share their Facebook page. The most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island, whether it's landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, cobblestone. Watson Materials. Call Sean. The most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island, 401-885-0600 for Watson Materials. I also received a message from Jean that was saying she needs a plumber. You need a plumber, call JMB Plumbing, Plumbing Repair and Service. Call the Dream Team, Jimmy and Tommy, 401-743-9153 if you need a reliable plumber. Well, folks, good afternoon. Again, we're going to be coming up till 1:57. I also think, I don't think it's productive that local media, and I'll just speak candidly, when I see an interview on local TV news and they are interviewing, in this case, the Providence City Councilor, and he gets on, pick a station, but I did see him on Channel 12. My point is, when they allow him to go on and he says, this is wrong, we have to stop this, they're tearing children out of schools, I believe the local media, whether it's whoever it may be, I believe they have an obligation to say, no, wait a minute. We're talking about dangerous criminals. No, wait a minute. No one's talking about, for instance, I don't understand why they allow them to go on and give a complete different depiction of what's actually taking place. I don't think that serves any purpose. I think they should say, well, hold on a minute, Councilman Sanchez. That's actually not happening, and it's actually dangerous criminals they're going after, and something like that. And the same thing with Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee. My point is, if Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, if he wants to run a sanctuary state, which he does, at the very least, then let him defend it. Let him say, hey, listen, I know they're illegal, but we want them here. Or I know they shouldn't be here, but I gave them driving privileges. Then he should say, I'm going to run a sanctuary state as long as I can. At least own up to it, I should say. But what I don't like is they allow this. Well, they're part of the community. They're part of the families. What did he say? They're baked in. They're all paying taxes. They're following the law. That's clearly not what's going on. And the more that, but my point is, at the very least, have an honest conversation with some of these individuals and let them defend. But let's have it out there. This business of Governor McKee was on record not cooperating with them. And now all of a sudden he'll throw out, well, as you know, we've been cooperating. And then, Channel 10 or 12, they just nod their head. Well, folks, it's been quite a week. I think we're going to have a busy weekend. I do. So I will see you later on Road Patrol Live. Now, if something breaks, we're going to be there. Great job, JR. If you're listening to the radio, stay tuned for the 2:00 news. Everybody else, we will see you later on Road Patrol Live.